Entrepreneurial Edge is brought to you by Business Banking from FNB, because small ideas can lead to big business. FNB, how can we help you?
I have the co-founder and MD of Netflorist, Ryan Bacher. Ryan, now the company celebrates its 13th year this year, and a lot has happened since February 1999, including expansion into net gifts, and you have some interesting developments from there as well. Was it always your strategy to branch out eventually?
Yeah, it was our strategy because the floral industry in South Africa is relatively quite small. It's an industry that nobody knows the exact figures, but it's probably worth about 250 to 300 million rand a year in the industry we play in, which is flowers to send, the delivery component of the flower business. And although that's a lot of money, we would like to be playing in industries that are bigger than that. And so we've branched out into jewelry, gifts and perfume. And the thread for us, just so that we don't seem like we're divesting into all sorts of different things, is this concept around emotion. So we're fairly confident that we have a competency in delivering a gift, an emotion. And it's an interesting thing. When you deliver a gift, the gift is normally the conduit for the message on the card. It's kind of how we see it. So if you're sending flowers to somebody in hospital, the flowers need to be nice and that they're important, but it's really that kind of, I hope you get well soon and we're thinking about you. It's that message.
That personalized angle.
Right, exactly. And that's really what we do. We deliver that message to somebody on behalf of our clients, and the gift is the conduit for that message. And so equally with jewelry, perfume and gifts, that message comes through. So we're staying in the gifting realm, we're just expanding the categories so that our clients can have choice, because flowers don't fit every occasion. Certainly men, there are men that like receiving flowers, but not that many. So there's a whole male component for gifting that we cater to. And then some occasions, get-wells and sympathies and romances, often flowers are a good bet. But you may have gone somewhere to a dinner party and you may think, geez, I went into their guest bathroom and didn't see some towels. Maybe I want to send them a beautiful set of towels and I'll put their names in it or something. And so you want to expand out. And so we've given our customers that opportunity. And it all revolves around convenience. Going to one place, being able to shop in multiple categories, get it delivered anywhere in the country, the same name, the same trust factor. That's kind of what we're trying to do.
One-stop shop.
Exactly.
Now, since your launch, there has been some developments on the competition market. You mentioned there is one player, but you see smaller gifting companies and so forth.
Yes.
With that, how do you keep your competitive edge?
That's a tough question. So it's not on technology, as I said. I think anybody who thinks online is about technology, I think is missing the point. It's really about, it's because we deliver an emotion, the trust is very significant in our industry. So if you order a book from a company and you have it for your own delivery, if it gets there a day late, it's not terrible. You'll read it the next day. It's not a chronic thing. But if you send somebody a gift, it's an anniversary, it's a birthday, it's a particular day, it's Mother's Day, it's Valentine's Day. You can't miss that. You can't miss it. So we are pretty confident that we have the most robust and dependable delivery facility in the country, and that's how we stay one step ahead, because that's what it's all about, delivery, and then of course making sure that the product is good value for money, the quality is there, the right message goes on the right card. So there are all these factors that go into allow our customers to have faith that when they order something from us, what they ordered is going to be delivered to the right person at the right time on the right day.
Speaking of delivery, last year, a time you'd probably want to forget, Valentine's Day, in the midst of the South African freight and trucking industry strike.
Right.
It's Valentine's Day, you've got a numerous amount of orders, you have no drivers.
Right. So
what do you do?
So what we did is we had hired a whole lot of temporary drivers through a courier company, and everything was set up, it was well planned. They were going to arrive at our warehouses around the country and start to deliver, because our volume gets so significant on Valentine's Day, we can't meet the needs with our own fleet, so we have to outsource. And on the 13th of February, which was a Sunday last year, the Road Freight and Transport Union decided to go on strike. And so they announced a strike, they got all their members together, and on Monday, which was Valentine's Day, most of their members didn't pitch for work, and the courier company we had outsourced to was unionized with that environment. So we had hired about 200 drivers around the country to help us, and about 80 pitched up. So Yeah, we were about 120 drivers short, and we found out at about 6 in the morning.
Not ideal.
No. And all the flowers were made up, and everybody's waiting for their gifts. And so we panicked. That was our first response, because we didn't know what else to do. And then about 20 minutes later, we started getting into gear. And really what we did, which was extraordinary, is all of our staff started calling people. So my brother-in-law, my 2 friends of mine, I had an uncle arrived. So I had 5 people, or 6 people. And that's what everybody did. And there were 60 or 70 people descended on our warehouse within an hour and a half. It was extraordinary. And suddenly we had our drivers. And everybody just pitched in, and they all kind of said, look, we can't, ladies out there can't not have their flowers. And people, I've got a friend of mine who owns a business who has 5 drivers in his business. He said, whatever deliveries we have today, they're not important, we'll do them tomorrow. My drivers are on their way. It is
Valentine's Day.
Right, my drivers are on their way. An hour later, his 5 drivers rocked up. And we had this kind of all over the country, and we had about a 4% error rate, which is too high. But under the circumstances, it was quite an extraordinary Valentine's 2011, because there could have been a 50% error rate, because if you don't have drivers, it doesn't matter what technology you have, it's irrelevant. The things can't get delivered. So we were very grateful for a lot of people that pitched in, and it was an amazing vibe. It was quite extraordinary what happened.
Well, this Valentine's Day certainly was better. No strikes. And your order uptake went up by 40%.
Yeah.
A staggering amount, seeing that we are still reeling from post-recession and what's going on in the Eurozone.
Yeah.
People are still spending.
Yeah.
And on flowers.
Yeah, they are. Look, Valentine's Day is one of those holidays where you kind of have to spend. We hope that's not why people come to us, but it's really, most men in South Africa aren't brave enough not to buy things on Valentine's Day. They're just terrified of getting home and what it'll mean. Or as I said, what we hope is that most of our clients want to spend. It's a romantic day, and they want to celebrate that day, and I think that's what happens. But our brand plays a big role, and we're very fortuitous to have it, because on occasions like that, when people think about flowers, we're starting to become a bit synonymous with those occasions and roses and flowers. And so, yeah, the 40% growth was fantastic. We didn't expect it at all, but it was fantastic to have it.
Speaking of your customers, you've had numerous customers come and go over the past 13 years. There must be some interesting stories.
Of customers? Sure. So yeah, we had I got into a lot of trouble about 6 or 7 years ago, actually. About 5 years ago, we got an order for a Natasha. Let's use that name. It was the police academy in Pretoria. It was a police training academy, and the message on the card was, "Thanks for the wonderful evening. I can't wait to see you again." And it was signed by a lady.
Oh.
So it said, like, love Christine. Right. So obviously this lady's gay, a lesbian, what it is. But her name was, let's say, Natasha Fourie, and there happened to be 2 Natasha Fouries at the Pretoria Training Police Academy.
Oh, crikey.
Right, so we got there to the reception, we delivered it to reception, and reception called the wrong Natasha Fourie. So I got a call about 2 hours later. It was escalated through our call center from a Natasha Fourie saying, "Hi, look, I don't know what games you guys are trying to play, but I'm married, happily with 3 kids. I don't know why somebody, or I don't know why you sending me something to say thanks for the wonderful evening, love Christine." So I said, "Look, I don't understand. We've got an order, there it is." And about an hour later, what this Natasha Fourie had done was she had gone down to reception and says, "Is there anybody else who works here with the same name?" They said, "Yeah, there's a new lady. She's been here for a month." So then the wrong Natasha Fourie understood that the other lady was a lesbian. And unfortunately, she spread the word. It was obviously very newsy and etc., which wasn't nice.
How do you deal with issues like that?
It was very difficult. So the other Natasha Fourie called me. I think it was the next day, and she just lambasted me. She just said, "Look, you've publicised the fact that my gender preference, etc., and it was terrible. And it really didn't have anything to do with us. It just wasn't our error. We had been asked to deliver. We did that." And it was hard to get out of, and I apologised profusely, and we did everything we could, but at the end of the day there wasn't much we could do. She was out the closet, and she didn't want to be, and it was a terrible thing, and it didn't have a lot to do with us, and often we become the brunt of we've had many court orders for somebody sending their girlfriend flowers and the wife finds out.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah. And so we've had a request for court orders for
So a lot of emotions you deal with on a daily basis.
It's all over the place, and it's it's because that's the business we're in. That's the business we're in.
Ryan, before we run out of time, as an entrepreneur, both you and your company have won numerous accolades. You're also the co-founder, as you mentioned, of the South African Forum for E-tailers. From your perspective, how important is entrepreneurship for business and the South African economy as a whole?
So, there can be very few companies where it's as critical as ours because of the ratio of jobs and people leaving school. So if you pair that up, you understand that the formal sector is never going to employ all the school leavers in South Africa. They're not even going to employ all the tertiary leavers in South Africa. So the only opportunity really is for those guys coming out of university to start their own environment, because then they'll create jobs that aren't currently in the network. So in a country like South Africa, I can't imagine anything more important than people stepping out of the formal environment and creating something that wasn't there, because in that way we can employ the workforce.
Right, on that note, let's leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.